Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we are going to look at the 4 latest Arsenal news. The first Arsenal news is that Ben Jacobs has confirmed an Arsenal update. As he confirms, journalist suggests Arsenal will now have to pay £80 million for incredible player this summer, as Arsenal look to complete the signing of World Cup Ecuador international and Brighton and Hove Albion midfielder Moises Caicedo. Arsenal would likely have to pay more than £80 million to sign Moises Caicedo from Brighton this summer. That's according to journalist Ben Jacobs, who shares more information on the Ecuadorian international's future. Arsenal have had an interest in Moises Caicedo for some time now. They made several efforts to sign the 21-year-old in January but ultimately couldn't get a deal over the line. Chelsea are now the team who seem most keen on Caicedo, but they're facing the same stubbornness that Arsenal did 6 months ago. Arsenal haven't made another effort to sign Caicedo yet this summer. That may be in part due to the fact that they've already made a club record addition in the form of Declan Rice. However, earlier in the summer, it was suggested that Arsenal could go for the Brighton star if Thomas Partey leaves. That also looks unlikely now, but Jacobs has shared what Arsenal would have to pay to sign Caicedo this summer. It's a huge fee and one that the Gunners are unlikely to be able to afford unless there are significant sales. Arsenal will have to pay £80 million for Caicedo if they re-enter negotiations. Speaking about the 21-year-old's prospects in the transfer window, Jacobs said, "With Arsenal, they've not come in again for Moises Caicedo. It would be great for Arsenal, it would be an incredible signing to pull off, but remember, anybody that enters the race for Moises Caicedo now is only helping Brighton get a fee of £100 million or more. If there's any other suitor that comes in, and I think Arsenal found this with Rice. If Arsenal enter the race, they're going to have to go minimum above £80 million because that was the rejected bid, but then Brighton are going to have to manufacture a bidding war, and that's not something that Arsenal will want to get sucked into." The incredible midfielder has shown on the South Coast that he's one of the league's most exciting young players. His composure in midfield and versatility would make him a fantastic option for Mikel Arteta. It's very hard to see a situation where Arsenal pay £80 million or more for Caicedo this summer. If Chelsea can't agree a deal this summer, then the Gunners might be tempted to enter the race again in January. However, Caicedo is only getting better, and that might increase Brighton's demands even further in the future. The second Arsenal news is that Rudy Galletti has confirmed an Arsenal update, as he confirms Arsenal eyeing £34 million defender, as journalist says club wants to sell ASAP, as Arsenal look to complete the signing of World Cup Portugal international and Manchester City defender Joao Cancelo. Arsenal have been linked with Manchester City's Joao Cancelo in recent months. Back in June, Fabrizio Romano said that the Gunners had him on their transfer list for sure. Meanwhile, Dean Jones said earlier this month that Arsenal could revisit a potential Cancelo approach in August. Cancelo's future has been uncertain ever since he surprisingly moved away on loan in January. Meanwhile, Kieran Tierney looks likely to stay put at Arsenal, but Cedric Soares' future at the club remains uncertain. However, if the Gunners still do want to sign Cancelo, they need to decide quickly whether to make a move. This is because Barcelona remain in talks over a prospective move for the Portugal international this summer. In this battle, there is at least one aspect that makes things easier: Man City's stance towards Cancelo. It looks like the citizens are eager to part company with their player, so there will be no resistance on that front. Rudy Galletti has provided an update on the state of play involving Cancelo, Barca and Man City on Twitter. He says Barca are still working to sign Cancelo, although they're now more focused on the outgoing moves. Talks are still on behind the scenes. In addition, City want to part ways with the player ASAP, added Galletti. When an incredible player of Cancelo's caliber becomes available, Arsenal, and any other suitors, are right to express an interest. Cancelo, who was hailed as one of the best fullbacks in the world and can play on both flanks, would be a big signing for Arsenal, and with a reported price tag of £34 million. As per Spanish outlet Sport, he wouldn't break the bank for the Gunners. However, you have to bear in mind that Cancelo's club may not want to strengthen a club that is now a direct title rival. The third Arsenal news is that Graham Bailey has confirmed an Arsenal update, as he confirms Arsenal believe they are favourites. Arsenal genuinely think they might sign 23-year-old, as Arsenal look to complete the signing of Brazil international and Grêmio midfielder Bitello. Arsenal have made 3 high-profile signings already this summer, and their spending may now have to slow down. Indeed, after splashing out around £200 million on Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and Jurrien Timber, the Gunners may now have to look towards some more modest deals. Interestingly, the North London club have been linked with a move for Bitello, a 23-year-old Brazilian midfielder from Grêmio, and according to Graham Bailey, this is a deal that is progressing. Speaking on the Talking Transfers podcast, Bailey stated that this deal is moving forwards, albeit at a snail's pace, and the Gunners actually think they are favourites to seal this deal. Bailey shared what he knows about Bitello. Yeah, that is progressing. It is going a bit slow. I think Arsenal have had other issues they've been dealing with. It's not an expensive deal. Grêmio are looking for a €10 million, £7.5 million deal. It is a deal Edu has picked out. They really want the player. They like him a lot. They've done their homework on him. I think Arsenal believe they are favourites for him, but there is interest from elsewhere: Monaco, Porto, Zenit St. Petersburg. Bailey said, they don't have it all their own way, but Arsenal are confident of getting him in. The signings of Havertz, Rice, and Timber are brilliant bits of business from Arsenal, but we can't help but be most intrigued by the potential arrival of Bitello. It's always exciting when any club signs an unknown youngster from Brazil, but you sit up and take notice that much more when Arsenal do it. The Gunners have strong links with Brazil via Edu, and after picking out Gabriel Martinelli from absolutely nowhere a few years ago, you can't help but be excited about another potential Brazilian coup. Bitello is certainly a player to keep an eye on. The final Arsenal news is that Ben Jacobs has confirmed an Arsenal update, as he confirms Chelsea now want to sign £40 million Arsenal target this summer, as Arsenal look to complete the signing of World Cup Ghana international and AFC Ajax attacker Mohammed Kudus. Chelsea are very keen to sign Arsenal target Mohammed Kudus this summer and don't feel rushed by the Gunners' interest to make a move. Journalist Ben Jacobs was speaking about the Ghanaian international on Twitter. Arsenal and Chelsea have some recent history when it comes to targeting the same players. January's biggest transfer saga involved Ukrainian winger Mikhailo Mudryk. The 22-year-old looked set to join Arsenal after months of interest and didn't hide his desire to head to the Emirates. However, at the last moment Chelsea made a bid that Shakhtar couldn't turn down, and Mudryk now plays on the blue side of London. The latest player linked with both Chelsea and Arsenal is Ajax star Mohammed Kudus. The versatile midfielder who can also play on the right wing had a fantastic campaign in the Netherlands. Arsenal have already made 3 top-quality signings, and Kudus could be the final piece of the puzzle for Mikel Arteta. Chelsea, meanwhile, have spent this summer hoovering up some of the world's best young talent, and Kudus would fit that bill. Asked about the 22-year-old's future, Jacob said, with Mohammed Kudus it's quite an interesting one, especially because Brighton are looking to sign the player as well. And this is what Chelsea have been doing, disrupting deals. The same for Romeo Lavia as well. It's normal at this stage of the window, especially before you get back from your foreign tours and you'll start to think about your starting 11 for the Liverpool game from Chelsea's perspective. It's normal to have these multiple targets, and it's a clear indication that Chelsea want somebody that's a bit more attack-minded. Arsenal have obviously looked at Kudus as well in the past. About a couple of weeks ago, they're not likely to move swiftly unless they have outgoings first. Chelsea feel like there's not as much of a rush in terms of striking a deal there. The £40 million star could slot into Arsenal's squad nicely, providing cover and more competition for Bukayo Saka on the right wing. Chelsea need reinforcements more desperately than Arsenal after their 12th place finish last season, and Kudus would be an astute signing. If Chelsea do make a bid, it will be interesting to see how Arsenal react. Although, as Jacobs mentions, Brighton can't be ruled out either, especially with a Europa League campaign on the horizon. Do you know the Arsenal news on Romeo Lavia? You will enjoy this video on your screen too.